Okay. Hey, Eliza, have you been able to keep your coalition together?
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Oh, we were 2 Nephi 25, 23, 26.
Oh, I love this one. I think it's so good. Let's just look at it for a second. But while you're getting to those verses,
Where did you get these? Like starter questions. You
just made them up. Yeah. That's a good question. Kelly just asked, where did you get these questions? I almost always try to put on these lenses. I don't wear glasses yet, but when I study the scriptures for a group of teenagers, I always try to look for this thing. What would be relevant? I don't just teach truth. I'm trying to discover relevant truth. Which I know that sounds almost strange, but I think it's true. I think sometimes we teach, for example, the fall, but we don't teach the relevant details about the fall. We teach the fall in general, and the teenagers are not able to say, how does that even matter? So, for example, with this one, I think this is an important one because I think a lot of teenagers are waiting for belief to happen to them.
Fall into their lap?
Yeah. And maybe don't understand the definition or the difference between belief and faith or testimony. They're getting all of those words mixed up. And so I'm trying to help a group of teenagers to be like, hey, is belief an event or is it a choice? And I would ask that question before I go into the scriptures, and I would get some definitions up on the board. So let's define, if we can.
I think if belief is an event, then that's just an experience. I think belief is a constant choice.
Let's erase this, and let's get some definitions up here. What is the definition of, and we'll put it up here just so we don't mix, belief, faith, and testimony. And just generally, not just in religious terms. What do we mean by belief?
Choose an idea that you think is useful to you, I guess.
Okay.
It doesn't always have to be spiritual.
So,
And I did.
choose. There's that word again. Choose an idea. What am I supposed to do with that idea? You said.
Well, you want to use it for something or apply it to your life. You know,
Choose
if
an
you want to
idea.
believe that, you know, you really look good in a certain color, then you go out and buy shirts that are that color. I mean, you
I
can
think
start with
it's-
simple things like that.
Okay.
It's
Good.
an acceptance that something is true.
So, what do you believe is true outside of religious terms?
Like a student would trust their teacher.
Okay. So we could even add the word trust. Acceptance or trust of a thing / person. Is there anything else that they believe outside of a religious realm?
Their opinion.
Okay, so I believe that this opinion is true. In fact, I wouldn't probably share it if I didn't have some inkling of belief. And usually if I share it, I actually have lots of belief. I really believe this is true. Okay, good. By the way, that moral agency was perfect. When I said agency, and I said it with such confidence, teenagers probably would not have argued with me. You're arrogant enough to argue with me, which is surprising, but nonetheless true. Right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
good. Give me faith. What's faith?
Assurance or trust based on experience.
I don't like that definition.
Does it have to be based on experience?
Something they hope for.
I think it's something hope to be true.
No, I don't like that one either. I don't think that's true, Kim.
You don't?
I don't. I don't know, maybe.
Why?
Because I think that's belief. Faith is what I do because of what I believe.
Faith is the action part.
Faith is like
I think you're bleeding faith into belief and back and forth. Because I don't.
Wouldn't this be fun? Marianne always gets in touch with me. She's always thinking, how are you going to lead this conversation with teenagers? I don't know if you've ever sat next to Marianne, but Marianne goes like this. Marianne goes like this. When I know I'm in trouble with Marianne, she goes like this.
Just this thing.
I can only imagine her kids suffering at home. Her kids are probably like, oh, Mom thinks I'm stupid. Now I know. But Kim, let's stay with it. Kim, let's stay with it. I'm bleeding these two a little bit.
Yes, you are.
Okay, read the definition of faith.
The Apostle Paul taught faith is the substance.
What's that word mean?
Or
Substance. I don't know what
assurance,
substance.
or
Okay,
assurance,
okay.
or
Of
assurance
things
of things hoped
hoped
for, the evidence of things not seen.
So how is
I
that
have-
different from belief?
Because
Faith is
it's
based
experience.
on experience.
Okay, good. I like it. All right, I'm ready. I'm
It's
convinced.
based on experience.
Or evidence.
It doesn't have to be necessarily
be.
mine,
Yeah,
but it's experience. I have seen or I have read
okay, yeah.
Or felt.
or
felt, that's
felt
important.
an experience that makes me go, I can act.
Or I've seen
Okay.
someone else's experience
Yes.
that caused me to
Aha,
have
okay,
faith.
so experience or evidence, both of those things, they don't only have to happen to me, they can happen to other people. Okay, so what's testimony then?
No, very similar.
Knowledge?
Power that comes from knowledge.
Where does testimony come from? From
faith.
from these
It's given by
experiences
the
of
Holy
evidence,
Ghost.
right?
It is a spiritual witness given by the Holy Ghost.
Yes.
And when we say witness,
Gospel talk.
when we say witness, what do we mean by witness?
Confirmation.
Let's use the word confirmation.
Confirmation.
My 12-year-old last night said, I really like the idea that believing is seeing, and I thought, we got a row to hoe. Knowledge, spiritual witness, confirmation that what? Would you say that something is true?
Given by the Holy Ghost.
Given
Given
by
by the
the
Holy
Holy
Ghost.
I like it. Then what's trust then? And is it any different? And do I need to get too worried about it? Trust, for me, trust and faith are almost synonymous. Right? Trust is because of my belief that has now turned into faith. I have assurance that it's true. My testimony is leading me to simply trust. That's
To
okay.
trust.
I can do it. I'll be willing to go on a mission. Right.
It's Nephi's pattern, because then he doesn't go through those steps every single time, he just trusts.
Right. He's just this is maybe a place where I can I'm working on getting here and staying here,
Yes.
perhaps.
If it's trust in a higher being, yeah.
Good. Okay, let's look at those verses and you tell me, is belief an event or a choice? After we've looked at that. And I want you to find evidence that it is a choice in these verses. See if you can find evidence that belief is a choice in 23, 26, 28, and 29. See if you can find evidence that belief is a choice. Mr. Wallace.
I think in 29 it's pretty evident, and it says, "And now behold, I say unto you that the right way is to believe in Christ." And then he gives you the opposite way, and deny him not.
So how is belief a choice?
You're choosing to follow, believe, trust him, not choosing to deny him.
Good, and it's a choice. Good, Kelly.
Well, in 23 and 26.
Mr. Wallace, I don't know your first name. Go ahead, Kelly.
They have action, so labor and write and talk, joy.
Oh, which verse is that?
23 is labor diligently and write, and 26 talks, and they rejoice, and they preach, and they prophesy, all is doing. So
Those are things that I choose to do. I'm not a puppet where all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm now going to labor because something's happened to me. Right? I choose to do those things. Good. Excellent. Is there other evidence that belief is a choice in these verses? Go ahead.
Well, in verse 28, he says in the middle that, I've taught you all these things, and that's sufficient. I've taught you enough that you can choose one way or the other. And he says, some of you have chosen the wrong thing, even though you had the knowledge to choose the other. So
Yeah, it's interesting.
He didn't really make them believe. I mean, they chose.
They chose to believe it or not.
Listen or not, yeah.
Right, and then the belief, of course, turns into faith. If I will exercise it enough, it will turn into faith and assurance, and I'll gain a testimony. And I think we're dealing with a lot of teenagers who are waiting for faith and belief to happen to them. And I think this provides you an opportunity to, not to solve it, but to remedy it, to begin to work it, right? As an Alcoholics Anonymous would say, to work the steps, right? To start to work through some of what we mean. Kim?
I think this is a good foil to some of the things that we read about in the scriptures. Alma the Younger has a very dramatic experience, and it is traumatic too. And sometimes our youth get the idea that it is an event.
Yeah.
That I need to have the heavens open. It's got to be something really dramatic, and then boom,
I'll believe.
Yeah. And those are the exceptions. Not that they didn't happen, but pretty much the rule is there is work involved, and there's time.
And Elder Bednar, if you have, once again, you've probably heard this plug, but if you haven't watched That Evening with Elder Bednar,
So good.
he just does so many meaningful, wonderful connections in gospel living.
Yeah.
Did you notice that Chad Webb continued to try to pull it back to teaching? He was like, yeah, I think that's good for our teaching. And Elder Bednar was probably like, okay, great. That works there too, but just so you know, this is for good living. This is just good gospel living. And he made that clear. He said belief is something that in the scriptures we highlight testimony when he said the only people he told that personal experience to were his kids. Everybody else in the scriptures, it was written that I prayed and I fasted and I chose faith. Isn't that pretty? I love that. That's great. Good. Okay, so we have time for one more, probably. By the way, can you see that I started doing this 20 or so minutes ago. And so I'm rushing, but you can see how each of these can become a very good discussion, right? And you don't need to feel like you need to cover them all. I just want to provide you with enough opportunity to see that there are several different ways you could go here. Okay, good. Can someone else form at least a 3-person coalition?
We did. Sorry.
What was it?
26, 8 through 9.
We just get that.
Okay. This is the do. This is the get.
Yep.
See what you can do. Everyone turn to 26, 8, and 9. Find the do. And then the get.
So we found several do's.
Yep.
So the first do that I put was be righteous,
Okay.
and then
Just a minute, Shannon. Somebody else. Give me another do.
Hearken to the prophet.
Okay. Hearken to the prophet. Thank you, Donna. Give me another do. Someone else.
I just put look to Christ, or it's
Oh.
bolts in a row.
Okay. Look to Christ is good. Good, Jennifer. Give me another do. Or was that all of them?
No, there's not destroy the prophets.
Aha. So not only hearken to them, but don't also destroy them.
I think of destroying as in ignoring them.
Right. Well, and
That's
also,
nothing that-
and maybe even going as far as
Saying-
not sustaining them.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, good. Okay. Give me the gets. Really, there's probably just one very overt stated one there.
well, there is, but he breaks it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Son of Righteous appears to you. So in your life, you will see Christ, whether it's physically or you'll just see the manifestation of Him throughout your life.
Good. Okay.
You'll be healed and have peace.
Aha. Good.
It also looks like your posterity is going to have righteousness as well.
Good.
Because it goes on to say, these generations will pass away, they passed away in righteousness.
Until the fourth century.
How many of you have been able to watch that other Bednar broadcast? Have been able to get to it.
Most of it.
Yeah, okay. So this is what I just want to be able to say this to you. What would Elder Bednar say to us?
There's no formula.
Yeah. He would be very, very careful to prescribe this. But you even saw that one CES guy get a little uptight about it. He was like, so there isn't any formulas in the scriptures? And Elder Bednar was like, don't be so, like, this way or that way. Like, just know that it's, just know that. How would he finish that sentence? Just know that what? How do these formulas work? And what are they most contingent on? Who runs the formulas, y'all? You or God? God, right? And so sometimes I say, do this. I put this one specifically up here so that you would kind of wrestle with it and wrestle with your students. Sometimes I say, do this, and you'll get that, and students walk out the door and be like, well, done now. I'm going to do that, and do that, and do that, and I'm going to get that, and get that, and get that, and I'm hoping to do it by Wednesday. Careful, Sister Winter.
He didn't say original how, but when.
Yeah. Right. It's going to happen, but he gets to decide when it's going to happen. And I think that's such an important truth. Every time you come across an if and a then, I think it's just good to whisper like, and also God's timing. Please be aware that, right, lest they walk out of the classroom debilitated and not knowing what to do.
Well, and also to recognize that sometimes the way the Lord answers is we have to walk through hard things to get that. So,
right.
You know, when it says be righteous, do these things, and etc., you know, sometimes you're like, dude, I'm living righteously, and all these horrible things are happening in my life, and it's out of my control.
Yeah, and you should say at that moment, I know he's doing it. It's working.
And that is part of this, is even in persecution, do this.
Good. Excellent. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that a great verse? Those are such pretty verses. I can tell you're thinking.
A great person to liken it to is Joseph Smith.
Quiet down, y'all.
How Joseph Smith did everything the Lord did, but his life was still hard and the trials that came to him.
And he got it. We know that now, but it came much later. Pretty good. I just think that these verses, this is a fun time to provide your students with some options and to let them kind of drive the agenda a little bit and not be so much, not you have a full lesson plan. You can ask some discussion questions. You can even split these up or however you want to do it. But right, it's just an opportunity to kind of work through the scriptures a little bit with them. And to use the scriptures. I love, and want to develop the skill of turning back to the scriptures like Donna did. Did you catch that? Oh, even in the verses that we just studied. Sometimes Neil Jepson is prone to gravitate to a truth, get the truth out of the scriptures, and then remove it from where I got it and start talking about it. And have some fun with it. But we should always connect it with where we got it. And that's what Donna did, right? Donna went back and was able to say, yeah, but it even says, like even in persecution, which indicates that there's going to be some pain in this process. Don't just remove a truth and then say, isn't this truth great? Let's hold it up out of the scriptures. Okay, we'll put that down. We're going to go to another verse, find some more truth, and then, right, stay in, we call that staying in context. Okay. Sisters, have a wonderful day. Thank you for your service. Thank you for getting up every morning. I wanted to figure out a way where I could... This is a true thought. I promise you. This is not just me saying it. This morning I was trying to figure out a way that I could have flowers delivered to each of you. Like while you were teaching. I thought, I've got to find somebody who's really wealthy, who's looking for like a good thing to do, right? Wouldn't it be cool if every seminary teacher in the town was like delivered flowers? Like, hey... We as parents and members just want to thank you. Thank you for getting up and having this and like, brushing your teeth half the time. I mean, I don't know if you're always brushing your teeth. I just think you're phenomenal. So thank you. Hey, one more invitation. If you haven't, you got to watch that Elder Bednar.
I want to watch it again.
Yeah, my wife watched it and then she showed it to our kids. It's not a usual evening with the general authority. It's very conversational, and on occasion, I call it a little abrupt. Occasionally, Elder Bednar's like, no, stop! We're not, that's not what, no, you said it wrong again! Which has caused me to be a little bit more brave, and clear to you people, too. Okay, let's pray. Let's see. Eliza, did you say our opening prayer? Would you call on somebody else for a closing prayer?
So thankful that we could come today to learn the scriptures and be able to take it forth to our students and help them understand the doctrine so they can grow closer to you. And please help us to get to know them so that we can help them better and understand where we can be of most use to them. And we thank you for Brother Jepson and his efforts to help us learn and grow. And we pray that we can do thy will in all things and enjoy this day in Jesus Christ.
Amen. Hey, Luck and Tara in North State, you are driving these conversations with your pacing guide. As far as I know, we're there now. You teach 25 and 26 next Tuesday. So I've tried to be, now I think we're right on track. Next week we'll do 20, we'll start with 27. We should be right on track.
Jefferson, a friend of mine has a question about Institute.
Okay.
She wants to know that if you do a summer class in Institute,